I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Sure.
Thank you.
First off, I apologize for being late. Trustee Gray?
Present.
Trustee Caprio?
Present.
Trustee Rogers?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Nice-Kutricki?
Present.
Trustee Barrion?
Present.
Mayor Yukich?
Present. Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Nope. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of May 26, 2017 through June 29, 2017?
I so move.
Trustees,
I'll second.
Trustee Suisse and Trustee Troiki. Discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Nice-Kutricki?
Aye.
Trustee Barrion?
Aye.
Motion carries. Reports and communication from the mayor and other officers. I'll start it out. Our Homer Community Festival took place this past Thursday through Sunday. We had very good weather and a terrific turnout. I want to thank the Parade and Festival Committee for all their hard work and their dedication. I'd also like to thank our EMA members, Will County Sheriff's Department, and all of the individuals from the community organizations that volunteered and helped keep the event running smooth each day, including the fire department. This festival was truly a great opportunity for members of the community to gather together with family and friends, enjoy good food, music, and have fun. Village Hall will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th, in observance of Independence Day. We hope that you and your family have a happy and safe 4th of July. Normal business hours will resume on Wednesday, July 5th. And with that, we'll go to the trustees, and we'll start down with Trustee Caprio.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting on behalf of the Parade and Festival Committee, I echo the sentiments of the Mayor. We'd like to thank all those groups that helped us get this successful festival going. Also some volunteer groups that were in the serving the beer and beverage in the tents, the Goodings Grove PTO, Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, Knights of Columbus, Lockport VFW Post 5788, and Operation Care Package. Additional thanks to those of the Village of Homer Glen staff, Homer Township staff, and the Road District staff, excuse me. This event is always funded and proceeds from the entertainment and beer tent and the carnival ticket sales, so I think we did as well, if not better, than we did last year. We don't have final numbers yet, but we'll get those to you as soon as we can. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Pelican Harry's and Ruby Agave for such a presentation they made with serving food for the bands and obviously the margarita donation from Ruby Agave. So thank you, and that'll conclude my report.
Thank you very much. Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Environment Committee. Nominees for the 2017 Community and Nature and Harmony Awards are currently being sought to recognize an individual, a business, or a community group who, through the creation of wildlife habitat or preservation, restoration, or beautification of land within the Village of Homer Glen or unincorporated Homer Township, has demonstrated a commitment to the environment and in the process has contributed to community pride. Nomination forms will be available on the village website, and there are several by the sign-in desk. The next Environment Committee meeting will be held on July 11th due to the 4th of July holiday. It will be a combined meeting with the Community and Economic Development Committee. We will have a special guest speaker, Ms. Ida Macra, who is Director of Environmental Issues with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. I would like to extend an invitation to other committees and Plan Commission members as well as the public. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee Rogers?
Reporting on behalf of Public Safety Committee, I would like to just reiterate a thank you to the Public Safety Committee and all of the Will County Sheriff Department, our own EMA, the Homer Township Fire Department, which I would like to remind you that for the first time ever donated their hours for the fest under Chief Lacacia, so we appreciate that. The committee is continuing to work with the county on the bike path signal at 143rd Street and hope to have that installed sometime soon. Additionally, we are working with the contractors on 159th Street to give the residents of Oak Valley some more clear sightline visibilities in and out of their subdivision. The Parker Road study, we have contracted with HR Green to initiate a study on that and the safety and look for some improvements there, and we will have that presentation at the August meeting, and our July 5th meeting has also been canceled due to the holiday. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Rogers. Trustee Berrien?
No report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Trachey?
The only thing I have is the next Parks meeting will be July 17th at 6:30 at Evelyn's Gate Park for a grand opening. Please come out and see the new and improved park and enjoy some music and some fun. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Trachey. Trustee Gray?
As the newest member of the Parade and Fest Committee, I just want to echo Trustee Caprio's thanks to everybody. It was a great event, and I appreciate everybody taking me on. That concludes my report.
Thank you. It was a great event. Is there a treasurer's report?
No report, Mayor.
Is there a village clerk report?
Actually, yeah. I just want to touch on what Caprio had to say. Trustee Caprio, sorry. It has been a big pleasure working with the food vendors this year. All the 6 returned from last year, and they're very supportive of all the committee and volunteers, especially auxiliary. They give leftover food at the end of the night to people and whatnot. And, you know, shout out to Pelican and Harry's. One of the reasons the fest is so successful is the support of our sponsors. And this year we raised a record of almost $44,000 in sponsorships. A few notable sponsors I would like to thank. The list is too long to mention. All Around Amusement, Meyer for their continued support of our fireworks display. Loyola Medicine came forward with a generous sponsorship for the entertainment stage for all 4 nights. Kenwood Liquors and Bud Light for sponsoring the entertainment tent, and Chesden's for sponsoring our t-shirts. And a few other noteworthy donors, Homewood New Way, always a pleasure to work with, very accommodating. Enbridge, Comcast, Dan Kenny Homes. We had some new sponsors this year, GT Mechanical, Nicor, and Viper Transport, who sponsored our pre-fireworks magic show. There are many others. A thank you ad will be sent out in local papers. And lastly, I would like to thank you to First Community Financial Bank and Payrock for being so supportive and making it possible to provide our guests the option of using credit cards for the first time this year at Homerfest. That's it.
Thank you very much. Village Attorney?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Public safety officials?
Thank you, Mayor. Everyone, I just wanted to stop in. I wanted to report this earlier in the month, but wasn't able to be at the earlier board meeting. Back in May, the 19th, we did a Cop on a Rooftop, which is a fundraiser throughout the state of Illinois. The police raised money for Special Olympics. And at 2 spots here in Homer Glen, at Dunkin' Donuts, at 15060 South Bell, and also at 14135 South Bell, there were local deputies that volunteered their time to go up on a rooftop, and if you remember that day, it was cold and rainy for a May, okay? So anyway, we donated our time, and in addition, there was a Dunkin' Donuts in Frankfurt Square, and between the 3, we raised $7,400 for Special Olympics. So I wanted to take a minute to thank the village for their assistance, Homer Township Fire Department, Northwest Homer Fire Department, EMA, the Homer Township Highway Department and Homer Township, but especially all of you and all the citizens of Homer Glen who continue to be so generous to the community and those around them. Just real quick, throughout the state, at all the Dunkin' Donuts, they raised over $650,000 for Special Olympics, which is a very worthy cause. So I just wanted to bring it up that this is a great community and you continue to be generous. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Lieutenant. And last would be Village Manager. Okay. Next is going to be public comment. We are going to have some things on the agenda, starting with H2 H2B, H2A. If you want to make a comment for public comment, we would appreciate it if you would hold off until that comes forward. Let us get through what we're doing. If you have any questions or concerns at that time, we will allow you to speak. So with that being said, safety and park, gas station, truck stop, gas station, truck stop. Everyone wants to talk about the truck stop. So, we'll have the comments as we come into, when we open up the discussion on it. You'll still be able to talk, but this way you also understand we're going to open it up. We might be able to give you the information you're looking for before you come up here, because I know how important this is to a lot of you. So, with that being said, we're going to go to the first thing on the agenda, which would be legislation and action items. First is motion to approve the attached proclamation designating July as Park and Recreation Month in the Village of Homer Glen.
I so moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so Trustee Troiki and Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Knights-Kuchoriki?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. All right, is there a motion to deny a preliminary and a final plat of subdivisions? Second, is there a motion to deny a special use permit for a planned unit development in the C3 General Business District in accordance with Chapter 220 zoning, Article 9, planned development of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, and a special use permit for A, automobile service station, B, mini mart association with a gas station, C, a car wash, D, associated drive-through, E, packaged liquor sales, F, a car wash, F, outdoor sales and storage, G, hours of operation in accordance with the attachment 2, Table 2A, permitted and special uses in non-residential zoning districts, Chapter 220 zoning.
Mr. Mayor, can you clarify what, that was a motion to deny or to approve?
This is, it says a motion to deny. So, no,
I believe that's from the summary sheet, we listed a couple options. The Plan Commission voted to deny it. There's another option to vote for approval, which would be on the second page of the summary sheet, just so that's an option.
There's no motion on
There's-
deny. That's what I'm hearing.
yes, there is no motion on it right now.
Okay.
So,
Mayor, I would move to approve ordinance number 17-039, a preliminary and final plat of subdivision subject to village staff's technical review and approval prior to recording. And I move to approve ordinance number 17-040, a special use permit for a planned unit development in the C3 General Business District in accordance with Chapter 220 zoning, Article 9, Plan Development of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, and a special use permit for A, automobile service station, subject to the condition that the proposed 3 semi-truck fueling dispensers, 2 lanes are eliminated from the site plan. B, mini mart associated with the gas station. C, car wash. D, associated drive-through. E, packaged liquor sales. F, outdoor sales and storage. And G, hours in operation in accordance with attachment 2. Table 2A, permitted and special uses in non-residential zoning districts, Chapter 220 zoning, all for certain real property that is located at northeast corner of 159th and South Gauger, and known as PIN 16-05-17-300-013-0000.
Leonard McHenry Gas and Wash Case HG 1706 PS. So with the motions made, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Either one.
okay. Trustee Rogers, discussion.
Mayor, I'm happy to explain, I think, my amended motion, but I think maybe we'd like Mr. McHenry to give a presentation.
Okay. Len, did you want to come forward? Okay. If you could state your name and your address, please.
Yes. Can I move this a little bit out of the way?
Sure. Jesus Christ, give me a set of papers that I can...
Thank you very much. Thank you for being patient. Allowing me to move the poster up once so I can see all of you. My name is Lyman Tiemann, T-I-E-M-A-N. I'm an attorney. My office is at 12417 Tahoe Lane in Mokina, Illinois. And I'm here on behalf of Glen McHenry and the applicant in this case, which is technically Lenny's Gas and Wash. Lenny's Gas and Wash Homer Glen, LLC. Before we get into, we have quite a presentation to make this evening, but before we get into a complete detail of the engineering and site planning and things of that nature, first thing I would like to do is introduce the team of people that we have here this evening because they all will be speaking. One is Brian Hertz with MG2A. Brian is our civil engineer on the project, and he's involved in site development work as well as the engineering for the project. Scott Pritchett is our architect and land planner and landscape planner for the project, and he's been working closely with Glen McHenry and Brian Hertz in terms of developing the site that we have to present to you this evening. And thirdly, we have Glen McHenry, who is the owner of Len's Gas and Wash, and Len is technically the applicant for this project. We appreciate the opportunity to come here this evening and be heard. We've been engaged with the Village of Homer Glen for quite some time. In looking through our file, our first meeting with the Village of Homer Glen concerning this project was back in October of 2015, and our first submittal in terms of a preliminary proposed site plan for this site goes back to December 15th of 2015. Since that period of time, we have met on numerous occasions with village staff. We have attended the Planning Commission meeting. We have met with neighbors as graciously orchestrated by Mike Mertens so we could all get together and discuss some of the issues that confront both us and the village and the neighbors. And we've made a number of submittals to the village, each time meeting with staff and meeting with the neighbors and Planning Commission, coming back and trying to fine-tune the site development plan. We have this evening what amounts to a year and a half's worth of work in terms of finalizing a site development plan, and I'll have Brian Hertz run through that in detail after I'm finished. But what we're looking for is to develop a gasoline station, convenience store, car wash. We have made certain requests for special use permits for planned unit development and others that were indicated on the motion that was presented for your consideration this evening. The property is currently in the Village of Homer Glen. The property is currently zoned C2 commercial, or I'm sorry, C3 commercial, and the special use permits fit within that category as being allowed as a special use permit within that zoning classification. What we're looking to do is develop this site in accordance with the village ordinances. We have looked at the ordinances, we have prepared our design in accordance with your ordinances, and we meet or exceed your lighting ordinance, your landscape ordinance, your signage ordinance. We meet or exceed the stormwater detention requirements, and we have provided for wetland mitigation within the project. The property itself is 5.02 acres. It's part of a larger tract of land that's owned by the Boo family. The piece that it's coming out of totals 18 acres. This is a 5-acre piece coming out of that. This is at the hard corner of Gauger Road and 159th Street on the northeast quadrant, and it's been sitting undeveloped for a period of time. We have met on numerous occasions with staff. We've tried to address issues that were brought up by staff as a result of their conversations with neighbors and as a result of our conversations with neighbors. And what we have looked at, which appear to be the most significant issues to the neighbors in the area, are the drainage, possible use of a temporary well and septic, and of course traffic on Gauger Road, particularly truck traffic on Gauger Road. In terms of the drainage issues, by meeting your stormwater detention ordinance, we are actually benefiting the property to the west of us on the other side of Gauger Road. The issue was raised by that owner, indicating that at periods of heavy rain, they do get flooding on that property. We don't believe that we can eliminate that entirely, but under your stormwater detention ordinance, what we're doing is reducing the rate of discharge coming off of this property so that less water will be exiting over a period of time, and thus making the situation a little bit better for the property to the west. In addition to that, because of the wetland mitigation, there's a significant portion of floodplain and wetland on this property. As a result of the efforts that we're making to do wetland mitigation, we're enhancing the quality of water that passes out of our property and travels to the west. So we believe that we're actually by developing this property, we're actually benefiting the property to the west. Maybe that isn't understood by the neighbors. I'm sure they will have concerns and raise those issues further with you this evening, but the numbers as indicated by the development going through the engineering review and your stormwater detention is that the water coming off of our property is less than the water that currently comes off of the property. There was an issue raised by a couple of the neighbors to the north up along Gauger Road on the east side of Gauger Road that indicated that, hey, you know, that we're intending to tie into the sewer and water. If the sewer and water doesn't get there, what's going to happen? Well, we're being told by the Village of Homer Glen that sewer and water will be there. It's anticipated to be there at the time that we're going to need it. In the event sewer and water is not available at the time that we're ready to connect, and we understand that sometimes there's delays caused beyond our control and beyond the village's control with the extension of the sewer and water mains out to Gauger Road. If there's delays, we would put in a temporary well to service the convenience store only, not the car wash. The convenience store would use 3 to 5 times the amount of water that the average homeowner would use. We would use that for a period of time, if needed, on a temporary basis until the water mains are extended and we can make connection to the Village of Homer Glen water main. If the sewer is not available, we would also be putting in a temporary septic field to accommodate the convenience store, not the car wash, until such time as the sewer can be extended to the site. The biggest issue that we've heard throughout the course of conversations that we've had with the village and with the neighbors is the traffic issue on Gauger Road. Traffic meaning semi-trailers. The village of Lockport has seen fit to approve developments north of our site for warehousing and distribution, which have caused truck traffic to be prevalent in the area. The Township Highway Commissioner has posted no truck traffic signs on Gauger Road, but apparently some trucks continue to go up and down Gauger Road to the annoyance and dissatisfaction of neighbors to the north. I can fully understand their concerns. If I lived along that stretch, I would be knocking on the door at the County Sheriff's Department, the Village of Homer Glen, City of Lockport. I would try and get the politicals together to do whatever they can to make sure that that situation doesn't continue. Gauger Road is not designed for truck traffic. There's some trucks that go illegally up and down Gauger Road after noticing and seeing signs posted along Gauger Road. That exists today. It exists without us. It will probably continue to exist with us unless some enforcement efforts are made by the Village of Homer Glen and City of Lockport and the county to go in and really put the hammer down on some of the trucks that are going up and down Gauger Road. Our development is not going to impact in a negative light that situation. The site has been designed in such a fashion that if a truck is coming down Gauger Road, approaching our site, they cannot make a left turn into our site. And when I'm talking about trucks, I'm talking about semi-trailers. They cannot make a left turn into our site. Likewise, semi-trailers coming out of our site cannot make a right turn going north on Gauger Road. So there's no way to access our site by semi-trailers coming south on Gauger Road, nor is there any way to exit our site going north on Gauger Road from our site. The access for any trucks would be essentially along 159th Street. There's a right-in, right-out on the extreme eastern portion of our property that would accommodate semi-trailers. There is also an entrance that, two entrances on Gauger Road that can accommodate semi-trailers coming in. If they make a left turn going eastbound on 159th Street and making a left turn northbound onto Gauger Road, they can enter our site at the southern entrance, turn into our site. They can enter our site at the northern entrance and turn into our site. But when they exit our site, they must make a left turn out onto Gauger Road. They must not go north, or they must make a right turn out onto 159th Street and continue westbound on 159th Street. We've provided for barrier medians to help ensure that these trucks will not violate this and head north. We're sympathetic to the neighbors. We want to do everything humanly possible to make sure that any traffic that we get in from semi-trailers into our site will not be a detriment to the people to the north. We have physically separated the car users, which are essentially the gas station patrons on the south portion of our property, from the diesel users, which are located on the north portion of our property. We've heard numerous conversation throughout the course of meetings that this is a truck stop, and it is not a truck stop. We own and operate a truck stop at Route 53 and Laraway Road in the city of Joliet, across from another truck stop that's owned and operated by Pilot at the same intersection, across the street from another one that's proposed to be built north of us on the west side of Route 53, north of Laraway Road. Those are truly truck stops. They accommodate a large volume of trucks. They're in an area that services a big portion of the traffic that goes in and out of Center Point development in the city of Joliet. That's completely different than what we have here. We're not looking to attract trucks, but any trucks that would come on site, we feel that there's an adequate safety issue to keep them segregated from the car traffic and have the trucks fuel on the northern portion of the property. One thing to bear in mind in terms of the diesel fueling on the north portion of the property, that's going to be for truck fueling, but the majority of the fueling at those 2 lanes on the north end of the property are for and are used by your small pickup trucks, your landscaping vehicles, your delivery vehicles, not by the semi-trailers. The vast majority of the fuel that's being sold there is being sold to local users that come in and have a use for the diesel fuel on smaller vehicles. This is, if anyone has seen our site that's located on Cedar Road and Route 6 in New Lenox, that's essentially what's happening there. We have semi-trailers that come in there on occasion, but the vast majority of the customers that fuel the diesel fuel are from those other varieties. They're from the landscape vehicles, the delivery vehicles, the pickup trucks, other vehicles, even some cars that use the diesel fuel. So we want to make it crystal clear that this is not a truck stop. We're doing everything we can to make sure that trucks don't impact Gauger Road. We truly believe that this is an enforcement issue. I think if the county, the villages, and the city of Lockport could pool their resources and concentrate on enforcement, I think that problem would go away, because I think the word travels fast that, you know, once you start issuing a large number of tickets to these vehicles that are violating the posted right-of-way usage on Gauger Road, I think the word will get out. Another thing Mike had indicated was that the village was making contact with some of the GPS providers to make sure that the trucks that rely upon the GPS system don't look at a Google map and misunderstand that and think that they can use Gauger Road. If the traffic can be directed otherwise, that would be a nice thing and a benefit to do. There are a number of benefits that our development has for the village of Homer Glen. Number one, there's a large amount of tax revenue that comes off of the development. We're estimating that the tax revenue coming off of our development is going to be upwards of $400,000 a year, not considering the fact that we're going to pay for sewer usage and water usage and tap-on fees and permit fees and all of those types of things up front and continuing on with the water and sewer usage. I think another benefit to the village is the fact that you're investing some $6 to $8 or $9 million for the extension of sewer and water to go out in the Gauger Road area without any users. I mean, obviously, it's, you know, if you build it, they'll come. That's a good mentality and a good philosophy, but we're here now. We're ready to go. As soon as that water and sewer is available to us, we're ready to tie into it. We would become the first user of the sewer and water extension that you're bringing out towards Gauger Road. The other thing that benefits the village, I think, is that considering the fact that we're going to have a Dunkin' Donuts operation, we're going to have a convenience store operation, we're going to have a car wash operation, we're going to have other services, food services within the convenience store, we're looking at staffing 60 to 70 people that are going to work for us on a regular basis at this location. Most of those people, by necessity, will be from this area because they're not going to travel a great distance to come work at the station. They're going to be generally hired from the local community, as has been the case with other stations and other projects that we have going throughout Will County and throughout the state of Illinois. So I think there's a number of benefits. I know the feedback we're getting from the village is, hey, let's get rid of the diesel pumps, approve it without the diesel pumps, and everything's a go. But quite frankly, everything's not a go if that happens. If that happens, we're not going to develop the site. We have lined up financing. We're ready to close on the property. The financing is contingent upon the operational plan that Mr. McHenry has worked through the village of Homer Glen and presented to the banks and presented to his investors. And if we deviate from that plan, we're not going to have investors, we're not going to have financing, and without the investors and without the financing, it's a no-go. So the project, if you think you're doing us a favor by approving something and not approving everything, I appreciate your effort, I appreciate your good faith, but it just won't work. The project will not be developed. With that, I would like to, we have a number of slides that we're going to go through. Mike was gracious to put those together for us. We've had them submitted to the village for a period of time and made refinements to them over the last several weeks. I think as recently as yesterday, Mike. Brian Hertz is here to go through that with you. I don't know how well you can see on the video display. I think you were all provided with a copy of the slides. Is that correct? Okay. With that, I'd like to have Brian Hertz come up here and go through that and talk particularly about the traffic issues both on-site and off-site as it relates to 159th Street and Gauger Road. Thank you.
Actually, before Brian speaks, I would like to speak. My name is Scott Pritchett. I'm with Ars and Associates, 1411 West Peterson Avenue, Park Ridge. I am the project architect, and I work with Brian Hertz on the site planning for the development. Back in late 2015, Brian and I worked extensively on this site. It was very challenging because of the stormwater that went through it, the wetlands were there, connections in for IDOT regulations and so forth. But I'll let Brian talk about that more extensively. If you could please flip the slide to the next one. I would really like to emphasize the development in regards to the buildings, the structures, how this site was developed comprehensively. There are two buildings, a 7,000 square foot retail building and a 5,000 square foot car wash building. There are a series of canopies, one for gasoline fueling, one for diesel fueling, one for the pay stations for the car wash, one for the vacuum area for the car wash. The site was developed comprehensively with the same materials throughout for both buildings, for the refuse area, be used for the sign bases. Same materials were used at both buildings as well as the canopies. It was a great attempt to make a comprehensive and cohesive plan here so that it was aesthetically pleasing, associated along with the landscaping. The rendering doesn't completely show the landscaping. That's a little difficult for us to do, but there was a landscape plan that was recently completed, revised and completed. We're providing extensive landscaping throughout the site. The idea here is to create a corner that will be a gateway to the community for Homer Glen. We're looking at putting a sign on the corner for Homer Glen, introducing the people coming down 159th to the fact they are entering Homer Glen. And the first impression we want them to have is a beautiful and aesthetically pleasing site. And I think that we've accomplished that by using high quality masonry materials and aluminum storefront systems, adding glass to these buildings to eliminate a lot of the blank walls you normally see in a lot of these buildings. We've actually introduced on the car wash asphalt shingles, similar to a home with sloped roofs, trying to bring in a little bit more of a residential feel to the complex, facing right off of 159th. With that said, I'll let Brian talk from here regarding the site planning itself and the stormwater issues and truck traffic movements and so forth, but I will be available for answering any questions you have regarding the buildings. Thank you.
All right. My name is Brian Hertz from MG2A. I'm the civil engineer. and land surveyor working on the project. So if we, we could start with the existing conditions plan. That's the drawing that's on the easel here in front of me also. It shows several different things. It shows the existing topography of the site. There's basically a swale that runs through the middle, kind of the southern third of the property. They're associated with the swale and that drainage way. There's a wetland. The wetland totals about 7/10 of an acre. And related to the wetland, there's also a floodplain area that is associated with that, and that area is dashed with the darker black line there that shows the floodplain. It's a similar sized area. So moving on to the site plan, then you can see that the layout of the site is going to directly impact the swale. So we have to separate the swale and the wetland area from the rest of the drainage going on the property. So what we did was we proposed to relocate that drainage way to the south portion, right along 159th Street. That's going to involve an Army Corps of Engineers permit. There's a greater channel length is what the Army Corps looks at in something like this. Is they want to know that you're going to have more length of channel for that existing wetland area. There is going to be some wetland plantings. Wetland mitigation is done within this area that also provides compensatory storage for the floodplain. The compensatory storage is going to be provided at 1.5 times to 1, which meets the local ordinance. We've modeled that. We've ran the hydraulic models. That's basically meeting or exceeding the ordinance. Once the stormwater or the off-site water, because we can't route any of our runoff to the floodplain area, it's all routed to the north to the stormwater detention basin. So all the runoff from the developed property, the convenience store, car wash, all the fueling islands, canopies, all of that runoff is being directed to the north to the stormwater detention area. We have to keep those things separate. So once that runoff is directed to the north to the stormwater detention, it's released back into the same drainage way that is crossing through the property now. It crosses under Gauger Road, so the discharge would be discharging just on the east side of Gauger Road. You can see there's a water quality BMP area is labeled on the plan there. That would be immediately west of the convenience store. So along with that discharge from the stormwater detention pond, there's also the discharge coming from the floodplain and the wetland mitigation area on the south. So they're both converging right there and then discharging back to the point under Gauger Road. There's a culvert structure. The next slide shows the plantings. There's going to be emergent plantings that are needed in the wetland mitigation area and also in the stormwater BMP area. There's going to be some wet prairie plantings, and then there's going to be some upland prairie plantings that are required to be placed in this wetland mitigation area. It'd be native types of natural looking plantings. They need to be maintained. There's going to be a maintenance and monitoring plan that's involved with that wetland mitigation area. All of that stuff is overseen by the Corps of Engineers for a period of 5 years. So going on to the next slide, we can take a look at the truck movements that we have plotted on here. So the first slide is showing trucks entering from Gauger Road. On the south entrance would be the fuel tanker deliveries. So that's where the tanker would come in to the site. They would make the right turn and go along the south side of the fueling canopy. And that's where the underground storage tanks would be for them to unload fuel. And then the red dashed lines, they show how the truck can proceed easterly, make the right turn, come back down towards 159th Street, and exit out the right out. That's a right in, right out entrance on 159th. The next red dashed line on the drawing shows how a truck would well, that's actually showing how it exits. So going back to the unloading the fuel at the tankers, the underground storage tanks, the truck could also make a left turn and go north, and then they could go all the way to the north end and proceed around back to the west and then exit out on Gauger, but they must go left because we're proposing you can see the triangular shaped median there. That would be an 18-inch tall barrier median on that particular exit. So that's a right in and a left out only exit at the north end, northwest corner. Whereas the southern entrance on Gauger, that would be a right in, right out, and then also a left in, but that left in will not, won't allow truck movements to be coming in. They won't be able to make that turn. So if we go to the next slide, this shows how trucks would enter from Gauger Road coming into the north entrance. There is the red dashed line again, shows how the truck would proceed through the fueling lanes there, and then it would continue to the east and then make that right turn heading back south towards 159th, and then they can exit back onto 159th Street and go to the signal. This would be, there's a note on there that the only way to go back to Gauger Road is if we go back up to that other dashed line before the truck turns and goes south to 159th. They could also make a U-turn there basically, and it's shown in a lighter blue line, but the truck could turn to the north, and then there's a bulb there in the pavement, kind of a bump out at the northeast corner where the trucks could make that U-turn and then come back out and then exit onto Gauger Road going south again. And the next slide shows similar information. We have trucks entering from 159th Street and then exiting back out to southbound Gauger Road. So the truck would come in the right in, right out on 159th, proceed north, make that left turn heading west, and then exiting back out that northwest right in, left out only entrance. The one thing that maybe Lyman didn't mention was that really with the project, this is providing a safe place for trucks to turn around. A truck coming off of 159th Street, if he turns and he's heading north on Gauger, he's going to see that it's posted no trucks. But once he's on the road, Gauger Road's a nice wide road down at the south end, but as he proceeds north, it becomes a rural type cross section very quick. So he's committed, and then he's stuck. There's nowhere for the truck to turn around. So that's what we've been hearing from some of the other folks coming and speaking, is that they've seen trucks turn around. It's causing a safety issue. This is actually providing a solution to that, because the truck can make its way into the site, come through the site, exit back out on 159th, and go where they need to go. So that's kind of the truck summary. The last couple slides show the lighting. We went through several lighting reviews on the project. There is LED lights proposed for the entire site. The lighting designer went through several iterations and reviews to comply with the ordinance. We've made it to that point. The lighting complies. If there's any questions that I'll try to answer, but I'm not a lighting expert myself, so that's really all I have. has any questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Len McHenry. I'm the owner of Gas and Wash. I live at 17112 Point Drive in Orland Park. I have some notes I'd like to go over with you. Lyman covered most of them, so I'll try to keep it as organized as I can here. We currently own and operate 9 locations, and I've been in the gas and convenience store business for a long time. Our proposed business is based on gas, diesel, C-store, Dunkin' Donuts, and car washes. Approximately 1% of the vehicles that would come into this facility would be semi-trucks here. It seems like it'd be 1% or less, because if we have 2,000 vehicles with the Dunkin' Donuts, the gas, and the store, we'd have less than 20 semis come in there. We have an identical, what I would call an identical location 4 miles to the south at, I'm sure all you guys know it, 6th and Cedar, same corner, northeast corner, same services. So I feel like I speak from experience, not guessing at this thing. We service the existing traffic. Trucks aren't getting off the toll road, pay a toll, come over and fuel, higher price fuel, pay another, go back, pay another toll. It's not happening. There isn't any trucks that get off, unless there isn't any trucks that get off, fuel, get back on at 6th and Cedar. It's not happening. Trucks aren't a problem because there isn't many. 6th and Cedar sells 50,000 gallons of diesel fuel a month. So if we look at that, of how that breaks down, 3/4 of it is small trucks, pickups, service trucks, all that stuff. So that would leave 17,000 gallons for 30 days. That's not a whole bunch for semis. With this project, we've worked with staff in resolving water management, lighting, traffic flow, design. In the beginning, the very beginning, it was mentioned to me, and this is common wherever we go. We go in, talk to staff, get their feeling on, hey, do you like the project? Do you not like it? Sometimes there was one village out here that says, we don't want any more gas stations. Okay, end of the conversation. We're not pursuing it. I felt a little warm and fuzzy here. This thing's going to work. So we've completed all the engineering, all the architectural, all the non-refundable earnest money. We're in this thing pretty deep, and of course I want to see it work. I think it's good for both sides. Lyman mentioned the tax dollars we went over. They had another brighter side of it. Gas goes up to $4 or $5 a gallon. That $400,000 a year can easily become $800,000 a year, because you generate a lot of money, a lot of revenues, a lot of sales in gas stations. That many businesses generate more sales than a good gas station. Probably a good grocery store, car dealers, but we're doing more sales than a McDonald's, or it takes a lot to do more sales than what we're doing. Okay. We employ 70 people in these things. It adds up in a hurry. Dunkin' Donuts, they got 25 people. We got 25. We got 15 for the car wash. Another little sandwich company. We employ a lot of people. This facility services the local residents, and a lot of, people on the outskirts a little bit that are going to be going down 159th Street, especially when 159th Street is redone, just like 6th and Cedar. That place is, we have a big customer count there. This place would be similar to that. Everybody's got to get their coffee to get on the highway, to make their trip to work. This is a needed service on this side of the town. I think we only help the traffic flow, as maybe as twisted as that sounds. Gives the truck's going to come over there, gives them a place to turn around. I don't think you're even going to know that we're over there. To pick the project apart and not allow certain services ruins the project. The business, Lyman said the business model was built on the services and profit centers. To break it up, they'll take the financing and it's just not going to work. You know, I personally don't see any issues with the project. I think it only helps everybody. Another thing I want to bring up is the unknown misunderstanding of taking away a couple profit centers doesn't impact anything. Well, Homer Glen is a very competitive market for gas stations. Meyer's very competitive. Speedway, if they can find a competitor within the 50 miles, they got to match them. There's a Walmart down the street, Murphy down the street in Lockport that's going to open. Very competitive. So we have small fuel margins. We have a village fuel tax that comes out of your pocket. You just can't keep raising your price. To remove part of the diesel business, to remove video gaming, I look at it like, how do you pay the bills? We can't keep taking things apart. We need your help to add things and keep the plan together. Also, the speedways, except for the one at Woolcook Road, I built those, ran them. I know the numbers. Those places didn't make any money. You guys probably make more money than they do with the fuel tax. Okay, they just don't generate the money, and then to pay your bills on top of it. And I'm not up here making up stories. Okay, that's the reality of that. Just a couple other things here. We've shown everything from day one on our site plan of truck fueling. We've never misled anybody. If I said something maybe that didn't come across right, it was never intentional. We try to be a good neighbor, be a good partner, and that's the relationship we have with the villages. No truck fueling at a site is worse than truck fueling, because when the truck pulls up, where does it go? Now, they pull up to use the bathroom, get a cup of coffee. So they pull up in front with the cars. Are we supposed to buy the 5 acres and have the trucks turn around and park there? It doesn't make any sense. But that is a problem when there's no place for them to go. We have an approved Dunkin' Donut franchisee signed up, ready to go. Send him down the street. It's a. If there's ever a problem, I'll work with you guys with whatever you need. I'm local. I'm not going anywhere. This is all I do. if there's issues with traffic or whatever, I'm sure we can work it out down the road. You know, we're kind of in this thing together. And I'd ask for your support tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Len. All right, so discussion from up here, and then we'll open it up to the floor.
Sure. If I could, I guess I'd like to explain my amended motion. I'd like to start by talking about the project as a whole and what I certainly support. I certainly support, want the project to work wholeheartedly. I support what I view as sort of the special use permit. Special use permit was a gasoline fueling facility, a convenience store, a drive-through, a car wash, packaged liquors. I support every bit of that, and I want this project to work because I think it's a really good project for Homer Glen. My amended motion to approve it with the elimination of the diesel islands has to do with a couple main things, all site-specific, and all relate to the circulation within the site of the semi-traffic. And so I've got a couple key things. One, on the northern entrance off Gauger, the right-in semi into the fueling station, I have serious concerns about the potential for the stacking of semis there, that as one is fueling, you could have 2 and 3 waiting, and that starts to present an issue. That's one. 2 is the fueling in dual directions. So you can fuel from facing east, and this is all semi-related. You can fuel facing east, you can fuel facing west. There's 2 bays, 3 pumps, but I have serious issues with the cross-traffic of the semis within this site and the safety issue that I think that presents. On some of these drawings, with the turn radius of trucks, in multiple spots, it appears to me that we have, with the red markings, that we're hopping curbs on the plan, right? And so when I look at that, I said, well, this is really tight circulation on this site plan for semis. My third one would be the semi coming in from the west, off of Gauger north entrance, comes in, and then if they want to get eastbound back on 159th, they have to make a U-turn in the northeast corner of the project. That's another, I think, serious concern for myself. I have some lesser concerns, but still concerns about some of the conflicts with cars, certainly as it relates to that southern entrance. And I understand that, you know, the thought would be to push all of the semi-traffic into that northern entrance on Gauger, but that southern entrance is there. So again, a lesser concern, but my 3 main concerns on this are the stacking, the dual fueling directions, and that U-turn. And I think holistically, the site plan with the semis on this plan is just super, super tight. And those are safety issues that I think are absolutely resolved with the elimination of the diesel islands. As I said from the beginning, I am fully supportive of this project, and that's why I amended it the way that it's been amended, is to approve this project with the one exception. And again, I'm going off of what I think is the original special use permit, which was gasoline fueling facility, car wash, drive-through, packaged liquor, outdoor sales. I'm great with all of those, and certainly commend all of you guys for the effort that you have put into this and want to make this work. I think it would be a great addition to Homer Glen with that one exception.
I guess I would concur with Brian's thoughts on every point. My only concern also with the truck traffic is I see an exit going northbound on Gauger at the southernmost parcel of the property. I'm not in the trucking business. I'm not a semi-tractor trailer driver. I do have people who I know in that business. And I would almost guarantee that they would try to cut around and go through the pedestrian parking to try and make that right if that's also not an 18 or 24-inch median, because then they could get out north on Gauger, and that scares me. I'm happy to hear the 18-inch median on the northernmost part of that site. I am concerned that people will maneuver their tractor trailers in any fashion they can to find the best exit for their availability at their time. I'm happy about the landscape design. I'm happy about the signage thoughts. I really want the project to fly as well. You know, for me, it's an ingress-egress issue. It's a tight area.
I agree with both trustees, and I also, as chair of the Environment Committee, I'm also concerned with more of the air pollution, sound, noise pollution, diesel fumes settling into the valley more so. But I concur with what Trustee Berry and Caprio said.
Well, I don't want to sound like a parrot, but I second that motion for the exact same reasons. I have, all of my notes have a circle on that same exit going north on the south section of Gauger. And I could see the trucks cutting through the parking lot, the vehicle, the pedestrian, employee parking, whatever you want to call that, to make that right-hand turn to go onto Gauger. I understand, you know, it's a safety issue for me. There's just a lot going on this parcel.
These were all the exact same questions I had that Brian had brought up in the very beginning, so I concur with the rest of the board.
I concur as well with all of the safety issues, and I am glad that we are bringing them all up. I also want to thank the developer for answering a lot of questions from the original proposal that was brought up long ago at the Plan Commission. A lot of things have changed. He's tried to mitigate traffic going northbound on Gauger. He's answered some of our questions about the raised half porch shop, if you will. I'm not really sure if that's the right term. I understand the issues about making U-turns on the property. I have sat in his station, scoping, creeping, whatever you want to call it, up on Cedar and 6th, and I have not seen that much truck traffic. So while I understand the issues that Trustee Caprio says about a truck trying to come in off 159th and trying to make that immediate right, the rendering doesn't really look like it shows a lot of area to maneuver that, so unless the guy's really confident in his skills, I don't think that would happen. The U-turn at the back of the property could be an issue, but if there aren't that many vehicles there, it might not be that big an issue as well. I like this project. I like it in its original proposed plan. I like it the way it is proposed by Trustee Burien too. I mean, either way, it's a good project, it's a dynamic project. But one of my concerns is that, excuse me, especially after hearing from the developer and his engineers and lawyer, we never had an opportunity to approve this as proposed. So I would like to make a motion on top of Trustee Burien's motion that we approve the ordinance as it was originally proposed.
Then we would need a second. Well, right. The issues that I have with this are more than what. Okay. All right, so there is no motion on, or there's no second on a motion that Keith had done, so we're still working with the one that Trustee Burien was working with. When we had this before us a few weeks ago, the renditions were very confusing for coming in and going out. The way it is right now, you have 3 openings to come in. You have one going west on 159th Street, which none of these trucks can do in the first place because they weren't going to the west, they're going to the east. If they do come in and they pull into the first one, they have to drive into the parking lot, across the front of all the delivery bays that they have there, squeeze in behind the car wash, and fuel up so they can head back out to the west to make a left-hand turn. If they pull in on the second one, the second entrance, and I do understand that Mr. McHenry put in a third pump so they can actually deliver the fuel on both sides. And again, like Trustee Caprio said, I don't drive a semi either, but I know 95% of them have the gas tank on the left-hand side right below the driver. So that means they basically have to be headed west. If they come into second, there's really no way for them to head west. They're heading east. And that property isn't big enough for them to be able to turn around on it without backing up. So to me, the big issue that we have is they're going to put a non-mountable medium down 159th Street, so you can't turn in or out onto 159th unless you do it on Gauger. If they don't pull into the first section, pulling into the second, they're going in the opposite direction of what it is, because if you have trucks coming up behind the gas station or behind the car wash, where does he go? And you don't know when the trucks are going to be pulling out or when they're going to be pulling in. We do want the gas station here, but gas station, pretty much like you had mentioned it before, Mr. McHenry, you said gas station, not truck stop, and if the diesel goes in the back, that's to accommodate 1%, it's a truck stop. If, in the minutes that I see here from the Planning Commission, it says that this states that this will not be a truck stop. You need it to be a truck stop in order to get everything else that goes along with it. We've gone and looked at other properties that you have that don't have the diesel and don't have the gaming that goes along with it. You survive on all them because you still build them. And like I talked to you on the phone today, I'd love to have you here. But the way Homer Glen's been set up since we started doing business here is to make it friendly to everyone and safe for the residents that live here. I don't feel the need for 1% of the fuel being sold to push that diesel bay through. I just don't feel comfortable about it. When we were here, when we had it before CD&E and we had all the committeemen on there, it took probably, and you were at the meeting, it took probably 15, 20 minutes for them to figure out what the hell was going on with it. It's not a safe situation. I don't vote on this. I can't vote on this because it was put before as a special use. So you have the trustees that have all explained their concerns on this. You have the residents that are behind you that have all their concerns on this. So what I'm going to do for right now, everyone here, are you done with your...
I have another question. You indicated that this is identical to the one on Route 6 in Cedar, and you indicated you had been there. That has a car wash?
I believe it has a car wash behind the building, if I remember correctly. Cars kept coming out from behind the building, so I...
But that's...
Yeah, I mean...
Mr. McHenry, there is no car wash on the one on Cedar and Route 6. And the diesel that you have there that you serve is next to the gas station, not behind the gas station. Correct? And there is a separate entrance for them to pull in, because that's where I get my diesel a lot of times when I'm getting it from my pickup truck, and I know I can get it from the island, or I can go over to where the diesel dispenser is. It's not a what? It is a common entrance that you can go either to the fuel, to the regular gasoline or the diesel, or you can go left and you're going to go right over to the diesels. But you don't have to maneuver in that gas station 1/10 of what you have to maneuver in this gas station. This one brings you through the entire system. It doesn't on the one on Cedar. You can pull in going north or south in that one. You can get to the diesel pumps. You can be going north or south on that one. You can get to any one of the gas pumps or to the truck pumps. This one here, you have to drive through a full parking lot. You have to drive past the gas islands in the front. Or if they come in the back way, they have to figure out how they're going to turn around to get the fuel. Now, you did explain to me that you have another pump to where they can pull in that way and they can fuel up on the other side. But you still run into a problem that when you're coming up from behind the car wash, two trucks can't go past each other. So it just doesn't work. It's plain and simple. It just doesn't work. You have to do it the way you have it now, to where they come in on the west side of the property at the first entrance, pull east, go behind the car wash, pull up to the pumps. The other one is pretty much worthless because you can't do that. There's no way to turn around once you get inside there. So that's all I have to say, and I'm in agreement with the board on this one. The diesel pumps in the back just don't work.
Can I just make one clarification, I think, on, I'm certainly okay with a high-flow diesel end cap as part of the gasoline fueling, right? For those landscape trucks and for what is going to be, I forget the number, but 95% of the diesel usage. Certainly, I just want to clarify that. I'm talking about the diesel islands
in the back.
In the back, specifically for the semis. I'm certainly supportive of a diesel end cap, high-flow end cap for those uses.
For the campers and the,
Absolutely.
right.
For the pickup trucks, for the moving
Which is certainly
trucks.
common.
Yeah, for my trucks.
Yeah.
And he has them there too. So it's still, because you don't want to be driving a semi through the back.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. Is we don't have a problem with diesel. I have a problem with the two diesel dispensers in the back. To me, it's unsafe, and apparently to this board, it's unsafe too.
I have another question then. Is it possible that the diesel islands in the back can be modified so that the canopy is low enough to preclude a semi from getting in there, but still could accommodate landscape trucks? So you still keep the diesel fueling in the back of the property, you still keep the volume going, but you lower that canopy so that a semi cannot negotiate back there?
We don't need it because you have the end caps.
Yeah, you're going to have on the end caps where the gasoline is served.
But that's going to be really tight up front then with all the cars and everything. I mean,
It would be similar to most gas stations.
which is generally
Just about every gas station in Homer Glen.
right. When they
has one
come
on the
in
end
with a
caps.
trailer on the back of them, they're hanging off into the flow of traffic with the trailer as they, fuel up their truck. Has that ever been proposed on your ideas of lowering the canopy height?
No, but I can tell you what works best. Two truck lanes behind the building, trucks are separated from cars. As you stated, you go over at 6th and Cedar, there isn't many trucks. Brian, I agree with you, if there's trucks everywhere, probably not a good setup. Okay? There isn't the truck line. We're only doing 50,000 gallons over there. Even at Okina, we do 100,000, and there isn't a traffic issue. Plus, the driveways are regulated, the driveways are permitted by IDOT, so we don't figure that out, and you guys don't figure that out. The state permits that.
Mr. Mc.
But there is no traffic issue with a few trucks that come in there, and they get through just fine.
Do you have a left out, like is on this drawing? The left out on the Gauger? Do you have that on a left out for semis in any of your other projects? A dedicated left out. So this northern entrance, the right in, left out, do you have that in any of your other projects? The northern entrance on Gauger, right? It's a right in, left out, dedicated left out, so they can't go north on Gauger, right? On the plans here. Is it up on the screen?
It's up on the screen.
Pardon me?
It's full access.
No, I get that. Is there a dedicated left out is what I'm saying for semis? Yeah. Okay. And see that, and that's, was like number 4 on my list of the site issues is when we look at that plan of that left out, that's crossing into, the red dotted line crosses over into the right in. And these are the issues that I think are, I'm talking specific to this plan, not New Lenox, not Mokina, not any of the others, specific to the plans that are in front of me. Those are the issues, so I would put that as number 4 of my issues within the site plan related specifically to semis. Which is, again, I guess, further clarification on the amended motion.
And I do have one more thing that I still have never gotten clarified from anybody I've spoken to. So the trucks will not come off of 355. Where are they coming from? And if they're coming from the east, they've got to be barreling through the entire village of Homer Glen on 159th, right? I don't know where else they come from. No, I know, but if they're not coming off the they're not coming off 355, they've got to come from somewhere to get that fuel if they're coming for the fuel. So my assumption is they're coming from Wilcook Road all the way down 159th to Gowger, unless I'm misunderstanding something. That sounds reasonable. Right? So I don't want increased traffic on 159th.
Well, I'm just going to call it because I'm not going to let 16 people talk.
That's all, I'm sorry.
Are you going to talk to the audience?
Yeah, we're
I
not
have
taking
a
a vote.
suggestion. If you're in question about the traffic, instead of you guys trying to figure it out and us trying to figure it out, why don't we get a traffic engineer to figure it out? If that's the only issue you have is about traffic, why don't we get a traffic engineer to figure out the traffic?
And I'll talk just for me. My issue is not traffic-based, it's site plan-based. And what a traffic study may be today doesn't necessarily mean, we have intermodals today that we didn't have 3 years ago. So my plans are site-specific, or I'm sorry, my concerns are site-specific within the site, within the circulation of the site.
But
So
a
I just
traffic
want to
engineer
clarify
can,
that.
but I just did this in Will County. A traffic engineer does off-site and on-site.
Then that would be fine. That would be fine.
Are they coming from Will County?
The companies here in Will County or Will County came out and are the ones that did the survey for you?
Were they in Will County?
Yeah, to get a company out here, you said that they...
We use KLOA. They're a big, well-known traffic company.
I have a question. You have stated a couple of times that the project wouldn't work if we eliminated the diesel islands. Is that, are you just going away with the project if we don't approve the islands?
Well, you're also taking away the video gaming at the same time.
I'm sorry?
You're also taking away the video gaming at the same time.
Okay, if we remove both, would you be
Right.
removing the project completely?
Yeah.
If we do not approve it?
If you don't approve it, I'm not going to build it. It does not work. It does not work for me.
Do you have another property somewhere maybe that doesn't have the islands that it works at?
Sure, because the economics of it are different. Okay, it's not apples to apples. Fuel margins are better. We wash more cars. We do more store business. We have 2 good food service businesses in that. Okay, all that put together works. I'm not going to get that here. I need all the pieces here to make this project work.
How did you know it was going to work at your other property and that it won't work here?
Okay, I originally come from Gas City, okay? My brother owned the place and I ran the operation. We had 50 locations. We had a station in the same neighborhood and I knew how many cars, that was our #1 car wash. So I knew how many cars we were gonna wash over there. So I was comfortable with when the mayor the day before said, this is how it's gonna go. You get rid of that truck island or I'm going to scrap it. I'm like, well, so it was kind of back and forth in that. And I went through with it knowing that the fuel margins were pretty good there, the fuel volume is good, and I'm going to wash a lot of cars, okay? I can't get that here right now. We're in the middle of a neighborhood over there. It works, okay? We're not in the middle of a neighborhood. You know, most people don't jump off the highway to get their car washed, okay? You know, they're not, we don't have a Murphy Walmart gas station down the street from us that gives all their gas away. We have to compete with that, okay? It's not a threat, it's just the economics don't work.
We haven't given any of the residents.
We're going to give them, I'm trying to get through what we have first. So if that's the case, then that's why I ask, are you guys done asking your questions for right now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right. Mr. McHenry, I'm not quite sure if he should just stay up here. Let's have the people come up and
If we have
discuss.
questions.
Okay. Yes, we're going to go with the public comment now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people talking about the gas station. So this is the only thing that I would ask. If anyone who wants to come up here, you're more than welcome to come up here. But if you're all going to talk about the same thing, it's going to be pretty boring. So if someone does come up here and you've got your answer, please don't ask it again, because otherwise we will probably be here till midnight. If you were here till midnight, we're here till midnight. But try to remember that if you've got one of your neighbors, because all you are pretty much from the same area right here, we don't need to answer the same question 15 times. So first, we'll go with Mr. Juris. Randy, you've got your address, but could you please read it off for the public?
Randy Juris, 14351 Oak Trail, Homer Glen, Illinois. I was at the May 23rd meeting, and it pretty much what Brian said. Nobody has any problems with a gas station being there. What everybody in the area, and also an awful lot of people such as myself who eventually moved to Homer Glen, was because it incorporated to be able to keep track of developments they wanted and what they didn't want. We know, we've heard them talking about it. He refuses to take away the semi-traffic that is going to be there. We also are inundated in this area with more and more concrete bunkers going up, and that's all you got is trucks coming out of them. It's pretty much a given fact that no matter where you have a place, even if he had one single pump, there are trucks that are going to be going down it. Today, I watched guys coming out of Heritage Crossing making a right-hand turn on 143rd Street with a 53-footer. Where was he going? He's not going to 355. We know that Bridge Development wants to put up a really big one on Gallagher at 167. These people, they're not necessarily going to follow or care what kind of congestion they cause in this area. The people putting up these concrete bunkers, they really don't care either. It is going to be up to the municipalities to figure out how much congestion are they going to allow, how much are they going to tolerate. Now, this one here is at 159th and Gallagher. What are you going to do when somebody wants to put up something that's even maybe more service-oriented on the northeast corner on 143rd and Lamont Road? How about at 159th and Cedar? How about at 59th and Parker? With all of the warehousing that's going up, we're going to see an awful lot of more people wanting to be competitive and wanting to put their truck semi-service facilities in the areas. And it's, the first battle line is drawn here tonight. There's no problem, most people would have no problem whatsoever with what Brian had said. Everything that you've got into this facility outside of servicing diesel semi-trucks is acceptable. If they put a sign up there and said, no semis allowed, that would be okay. But as soon as we start allowing this to happen, the congestion that you're going to get in your area is going to just jump. congestion with trucks that are they're a nuisance. If you want to talk about something that's going to make further development, both from people coming into the community and also if you have congestion down 159th Street, the businesses that you have there, I would just as soon see you guys, don't take it as these guys have got to have this or else. If they don't want to put something up, let somebody else come by. I mean, that's the way I look at it. If they want to put this up, put it on the west side of 355. Those people that are coming out of Heritage Crossing, going down Gauger, they're on there for a reason. It's not because, you know, you put a sign up. We've seen the police reports that came in on the 23rd meeting. It was pretty significant, and they weren't really looking for trucks at that particular time. A number of people that have gone through that area have seen trucks more so than ever before on Gauger, and Gauger is not a good road to be on in the wintertime, even if you're a car. And these trucks want to get on that road, and as more and more of these concrete bunkers go up, you're going to see more and more cars on it. So, in my opinion, the village incorporated in 2001 to dictate its own future. This is the first battle that you have with what your future is going to look like. Thank you.
Thank you. Second would be John Zutent. John, if you could please read off your address, please.
Mayor, board members. My name's John Zutant, Z-U-T-A-N-T. I live at 14517 Heatherwood Drive in the Pebble Creek subdivision. I've got two issues that I'd like to bring forth to the board. One is the safety issue on Parker Road in regards to the crosswalk that is there on the crossing path, Culver Park, and so forth. The traffic has increased very much on Parker Road, but my issue is with the speed limit. I'd like to see it reduced from the 40-mile-per-hour speed limit to a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. This is in regard to the safety walk. I mean the trails. The trails. Because most cars will observe the flashing lights that are there, and with regards to people that are using the walk, but on many instances, well, my home backs right up to Parker Road, and I am the last house right there, so I observe that path a lot, and the traffic on Parker Road. The issue is that a lot of cars, in many instances, they don't even slow down for that yellow flashing light. All they do is lay on their horn in total disregard to the people and just speed up when the people stop. Now, on occasions, yes, the Sheriff's Department does a great, excellent job here. And on occasions, they do sit in Culver Park and wait for speeders, but it's not advantageous to have somebody sit there all the time. They have other things to do. And naturally, when they're not there, you know, people just resume what they're doing and speed through that. And it's just a safety issue waiting to happen. Someone's going to get seriously hurt. You got Culver Park there too. And the other issue is that the street from Old Oak subdivision, I think it's called Oak Tree or something like that, was opened up for people to access Parker Road several years ago, or a few years ago. And the people that are coming out of that subdivision and trying to access onto Parker Road are having trouble getting out. And also, I think it's Amberfield's construction there has increased, and you got more people trying to access Parker Road from there. It's just a safety issue. I think lowering the speed limit would definitely solve some of the problems. The other issue I'd like to bring forward, though, is what happened to the fountain over in Culver Park. For the last 2 years, I don't know if you guys would address that or the township for the park district.
Township would have to address it. That's their property.
Okay. Well, I'd like to, you know, I mean, yeah, there's a mosquito abatement going on and so forth, but The last 2 years, all of a sudden, the fountain from the pond has disappeared. What happened to it?
Well,
Don't know.
we can relay that onto the township so they can address it for you. That's something that we can't do ourselves.
Right, I understand that. A few of my neighbors that brought that up to me, so they said, you're gonna go talk about the speed limit, bring that up.
Okay.
So that's my main concern though, is the safety issue on Parker Road with that crosswalk and the speed limit.
Okay.
All
What
right?
we'll do is we'll bring that to the safety committee and let them look into that for you.
Right, I understand they weren't having the safety issue meeting until August, and I think August is, you know, you're deterring it a little too far. If you can expedite it, be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next would be Michael Presti.
Hi, Mike LaPresti, 15535 South Gauger Road. I'll keep this very, very brief. All these pictures showed trucks coming up Gauger and turning into the two entrances into the gas station, correct?
Correct.
Anybody missing something there? They're not supposed to be on that street at all. It's not a valid entry. So what is your margin on diesel fuel? 5%? So it's 5% of 1% of your total sales. For that, you're not going to build a gas station. As a taxpayer, I don't like threats. You don't want to be there, don't build it. But don't threaten me that you're not going to do it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Next would be Marvin Pickering.
Martin Pickering, 15525 South Calvert Road. And I've been in the area since 1962, retired science teacher, and there's several issues that I have with this situation. First of all, they talk about a well in case they don't get water accepted. All up and down the road, residents are using wells, including Oak Prairie School. Don't forget that. Oak Prairie School and Lockport have a relationship there with a well. But if the water table drops, then we all have problems with wells. Ponds, retention, you're going to have more retention than usual because I-355, when they did that, they doubled the size of the culverts. More runoff. Pat Mitchell's got a problem. It's eroding her field. Now, the state is widening 159th, and they are doubling the size of the culverts. 3-footers or 6, 18 or 3. She's going to get a lot more water, and that retention pond that you're building to help us out, you're going to get a lot more water in that retention pond than usual. And not only that, usually retention ponds are downhill. Here, you're putting a retention pond at the top of the hill. And what do we have down at the bottom of the hill? Shady Lane and all the residents. There could be a spring pop right on the side of the hill on Shady Lane. And we ask, are you going to line the pond? No. Are you going to line the pond? What's going to protect those houses from a spring? And so that's a factor. Another factor, I suggest not just this project, but all projects, that when you have a bus stop, where you have packaged liquor, I suggest you not even have the bus stop or you not have the packaged liquor at a bus stop. And that's what we've got here. Also, the situation with the traffic, you're talking about, again, the traffic coming out and going south on Galbraith. You've got an intersection there within 500 feet. If you look at that map and take the path, you're going to have a truck going north on Galbraith, going to turn in, a right turn, and traffic from coming off of 159th in all directions trying to go north on Galbraith, and as a result, you got a problem. But, okay, so you pass the truck. But you can't pass the truck because coming out of the station, going southbound, making a left out, you got trucks going south on Galbraith. Now you got a bottleneck. You've got traffic jams. You've got Galbraith blocked. This is a school bus route. You've got problems here. You're going to try to have traffic going north with trucks and traffic going south with trucks, and you're going to be creating a traffic jam. There shouldn't be two exits or ports on Galbraith, because when you've got a northbound, that means that people trying to come off on 159th can't go anywhere. And when you've got a southbound coming right out to go south, you can't pass the truck, so you can get around it and go north. So you're creating a bottleneck. And worse, I hope you check with the fire department, because you've got a bottleneck here on the west side. And you've also, what if you have a tanker fire at the east side coming off of 159th? Okay, we got a tanker fire at 159th at that entry. Now everybody wants to get out on the Galbraith, but you can't, because you got trucks blocking the exit. I suggest you check this with the fire department, because I think you're creating a hazardous entry-exit situation in case of fire here. When you mentioned the 1%, I understand the 1% and Cedar and Route 6. But the difference is, Cedar and Route 6, you don't have 60 warehouses within a mile. You're going to have that. And when I did the work with the Temple on the Hill on Galbraith, the Young study, which the township paid for, Homer Township, Young traffic study, showed that Galbraith Road would have more traffic than Cedar Road. You've already created, just to the warehouses on 151st, 1,100 jobs. We didn't agree with that. Beg pardon? We didn't agree with that. That's not correct. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, the point is you've got warehouses to the south, which adds more traffic than was even in the study. So we've got a lot of traffic, a lot of good spot for the situation, and the all of those factors together, I think we've created a situation. You need to clear up the problem on Galbraith if you're going to do this. And of course, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pickering. Jim O'Hara.
Before I get going here, I have some handouts for the council. My name is Tim Ulmer. I live at 15951 West Shady Lane, home of Glen. Coming to tonight in regards to this project. We've been going back and forth for a long time. I have one big, huge concern that I've talked to everybody in the world about. This is the first time I've done it here. All right? If you let this project go forward with those tractor-trailer refueling bays, you are going to draw every tractor-trailer from every warehouse that Lockport has put up. I'm putting up still the tractor trailers up and down Galbraith Road all day long. Okay? It hasn't been stopped. Okay? It's an enforcement issue. It's been an education issue. But we still have tractor trailers daily up and down. Okay? We recorded a near miss just before the end of school. The school bus was stopped at Shady Lane, Galbraith. Started to pull away, got to my neighbor's house just across before the creek. Tractor trailer comes flying down over the top of that hill. He was on the brakes hard. If that bus had not been moving, he would have creamed that busload of kids. Okay? This is an ongoing problem. If you let this project go in, it's going to give another excuse for every tractor trailer driver. Oh, I was just going to get fuel. Why would you put a fuel truck there? I mean, a fuel station or a truck stop if I wasn't supposed to come down this road? I've heard every excuse under the sun why they're out on Galbraith Road. Okay? The trucks, I've told you once, actually I've told this council 2 times. This is going to happen. Not when, It is going to happen with the amount of tractor trailer traffic we got right now without this project going in. Okay? I've got a timing box in front of my house. When I got a data waste, I got nothing else better to do, I'll sit out there and time tractor trailers. Not a single one of them is doing 30 miles an hour. Okay? If you look at your handout, you see that? That's one of your local school buses stopped dead at Shady Lane in Galbraith. Okay? From the top of the hill, when you crest that hill, there's 290 feet before you hit Shady Lane. 3 times a day, 2 buses are stopped dead right there picking up kids. Okay? And you have 12 other buses traveling that route every day. Okay? Tractor trailer comes on. Look at your chart that I gave you on the paper. Okay, a tractor trailer going, if he's doing 30 miles an hour with reaction time, time to get on the brakes, he's going to take 181 feet to stop on flat, level pavement, not a 3% downhill grade on a 2-lane residential street. Okay? Anything above 30, guess what? You don't have room to stop that tractor trailer. No way, no how. I've clocked guys coming down Galbraith Road doing 60 miles an hour through my timing box. When they've been on the road for 14 hours, they make that corner, they know their GPS is telling them that they're a mile away from where they gotta be, they're whipping for the barn. They just want to get out of that truck. Okay? If you look at the speeds down here, average tractor trailer, empty, is between 31 to 37,000 pounds. That's 15.5 tons to 17.5 tons, barreling over the top of that hill. Your school buses are stopped at the bottom of that hill. I'm watching my neighbors put their kids in grandkids. I don't have a kid in this fight, but I was a firefighter paramedic for 31 years. You get a tractor trailer hitting that bus, stopped cold at the bottom of that hill. It's not going to be pretty. I've done it before. Okay? I've had to pull kids out of those kind of things. It's not pretty. So, like I said, this is an ongoing problem. This is not going to help it. Again, we came to you, Mr. Mayor, when this Boo property was being annexed in. We told you we're not NIMBYs. Anybody in Shady Hollow, build a gas station, fine. He's washing his hands of, well, I'm just selling diesel. I can't do anything about the trucks that come in and leave. Sure, fine, I understand that. But you folks have the opportunity to stop this before it happens.
We have the opportunity to stop the gas station. We don't have an opportunity to stop the trucks. The trucks that you're talking about have absolutely nothing to do with Mr. McHenry at all.
Well, it's going to give them another reason to be going up and down Galbraith Road to go get fuel, will it not, Mayor? What would be the reason for a tractor trailer refueling station?
Because they couldn't even turn into in that direction. Because there's no left turn into it.
Sir, it doesn't matter. It's going to draw every truck from every one of these concrete boxes that Lockport's put up. Again, I understand it's an enforcement issue and we can't enforce it 24 hours a day. I understand that.
We can't enforce it at all.
What, you can't enforce the no truck law on Galbraith Road?
It's not our property.
Okay, that's what again, when I came to you the first time, that was 1.5 years of my time trying to get somebody to enforce all the signs.
And we are trying to do it. We sat down with Lockport numerous times, and we sat down with Will County Police. Will County Police don't want to work in conjunction with Lockport.
Okay.
So we're still sitting down trying to get it worked out with Lockport.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate your efforts in that.
You have to understand, there's certain things that you're asking us to do we can't do. As for this gas station, whether it's the diesel units are put in behind the gas station or not, you're still going to have trucks coming up there. They still have problems with GPS, not telling these truck drivers where they're supposed to go. And honestly, I have no problem with giving every one of them a ticket. And as far as I'm concerned, I said raise it as high as we possibly can, charge these people, charge them, because that's the way it will stop some of this from happening. But what we're here for tonight is we're here to see whether or not this can be justified for it. Trucks that go past, trucks can turn in, and we'll look into them for the half a block that's on, because it's a state road for 159th Street. We have to see how much of that turning in is still state road. But I'm not quite sure if we looked into if they have the right to even be on it from 159th to where it turns in. So if you have any idea on that, I'd love an answer.
The front portion where this property is at is state right of way. Once it gets past this development, it turns into township right of way.
So again, it's something that we don't have control over. So no matter what goes there, because even if he puts a gas station without the diesel items, there's still diesel there. There's still diesel at any gas station you come into, you know, they still can pull there. A truck can still pull in there. That roof that they have over the whole island, it'll house a truck.
Sir, I'm talking specifically tractor trailer traffic. And you're going to remove one of the implements for them to be coming down Galway by taking out the tractor trailer refueling bays at the back of the station.
Okay, you still fuel on front of the station.
That's, again, I don't think they're going to fit underneath that front bay with a tractor trailer.
All right. Well,
okay. So again, like I said, this is ongoing. I understand that. This is one thing with everything else that's going on in the area. It's gonna, and that bus accident, it's gonna happen.
Sir.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Have you tried to contact the schools? Ask why the buses are stopping on Galver and why they can't turn on the shading lane to drop the children off? That would be one.
Ma'am, I've spent 1.5 years of my time contacting schools. I've contacted the Illinois State Police. I've contacted the Will County Traffic Division. I've contacted the Will County Division of Homer Glen. I have contacted the Secretary of State Police. I have contacted Lockport and Lockport Police. I have contacted every school district around. Nobody listens to me. 1.5 years of my time going around to meetings trying to get this rectified. This accident's gonna happen, and it's gonna be horrendous. So you guys have the ability to remove just one little piece of the puzzle to take the traffic off of Galver Road. If you don't do that, there's going to be a lot of questions asked when it happens. And a lot of those questions are going to be coming from attorneys. Why did you let this go on? You knew about this. This is a residential neighborhood. It's not out in the middle of, you know, a trucking center out somewhere in Shorewood Place. Okay?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll make a phone call to the school to see if we can get them pulled off.
We went to the school board asking them to come and talk to you guys and send you a letter. We went to school district 92.
That's right.
Because you got the school at the other end of the road, too.
Correct.
We went to them.
We'll do it. Then we'll ask them the question on why they can't do it. But you're getting into an area, too, that
well, again, my whole purpose is to remove one piece of the puzzle to get less tractor trailers coming down Galver with an excuse.
Right.
That's it.
We are doing the same. So let us work on it. You came up here to give your comments. We'll look into them for you. I'm not telling you, all right, thank you and bye. We're going to help. Okay? We'll look into it for you. But you have to understand, too, our hands are tied on certain things that we don't have control. But we'll make a phone call because I agree. First of all, like Trustee Trader said, school bus doesn't, it should not be stopping on that street. It's a 40-mile-an-hour street or whatever the speed limit is.
It's a 30-mile-an-hour street, and nobody does it.
All right. But like you said, even 30, it's still going too fast for a semi if there's a
exactly. But again, this is like I said, I'm telling you what's going to happen if you allow more trucks to be heading up to this station. So, like I said, my part is you have the ability to remove the tractor trailer refueling stations from this project, build the rest of it, everybody will be happy having it.
And that's what we're putting forth
okay.
right now. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Next would be Roseanne Nicole.
Yeah.
My name is Roseanne McCall, 1591 West Shady Lane, right back onto the property. I just want to say, I just agree with the speakers before me, and I'm concerned about the noise and the air pollution from diesel, because, I mean, it's really clean and beautiful where we live, and diesel is not nice.
Roseanne, I have a question for you.
Yes, yes.
So your concern right now is the noise?
The noise from the diesel trucks and the air pollution from the diesel, as well as what the other speakers have said, of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Dan, not quite sure how to say the last name, so I'm not going to butcher it.
Backlow.
Backwell?
Backlow.
Backwell, okay, thank you.
My name is Dan Backlow, 15903 West Shady Lane. Been in the area for 28 years. My kids grew up here. Keep it very brief. The project is beautiful. You guys did a wonderful job. I mean, it's something I would like to have in my neighborhood. It's a nice looking facility. And I've seen your facility on Route 6, and it's a nice facility. You keep it clean, keep the landscaping done. That's all well and good. But the main issue we have, and everybody has here, is the truck traffic going in and out of the station. Everybody spoke about the Route 6 facility, but nobody has spoke about his Sherwood facility. And I think the whole board has gotten the email that was sent to you from one of his situation, one of the, Mr. O'Meara, sorry, Mr. O'Meara. And he did the exact same thing there. I mean, it's a beautiful facility, but he said he was going to pull the plug unless he got his diesel in there and he got his gaming in there. The neighborhood shot him down because of the traffic, because of the neighborhood. But if you go by the station, it's there. And he's doing very well there, and he's been there for years. So evidently, it still works without the diesel. And I'm sure he'll understand that. It's a good location, but not for the diesel. Other than that, the only thing I do want to reiterate is what Mr. O'Meara talked about is that bus traffic, and I'm sure the board will work on that on Galvin Road. My kids are gone, but it was, 28 years ago, it still was an issue when we had fast-moving cars coming down that hill. It's the line of sight. You can't see what's down that hill.
That's why I said, looking what the heck, looking.
And Tim has worked on it very, very hard. And it seems like Tim will speak about it, and we'll get an officer down there. He'll sit on Shady Lane, and as we're going in and out of Shady Lane, we'll wave to him, and he'll write his 7 or 8 tickets for that one day, and then we won't see him for weeks. So it needs to be, we need to keep on top of it, because we all have kids, and we all want to keep our community safe. And I think having the truck traffic added to what is there now, because they're going to do what they want to do, okay? But it's up to us to try to limit it as much as we can. And we all have good common sense, and I'm sure we'll use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
I've been in my family since the 1860s. I am 4th generation to live on it. Our children who live there are 5th. It's hard selling the property that's been in your family for this long. It's even harder when you have this many issues with trying to sell it, when you had a tollway that was built just 1,000 feet from you, and you have a major highway project going on in front of mine now for the 2nd time since when they did the tollway. They also widened in front of mine. So I have done the dance with the tollway twice. To answer your question, when they put the tollway in the Galva Road, they widened it to the driveway that is my driveway here off of Galva Road. That is owned by the state. So trucks can come in here and turn around and U-turn and go out. They're not supposed to go down the road. For the last 3 weeks, I have had the pleasure of having a movie called The Electric Dreams. It was done by Bryan Cranston, filmed at our farm. It has been there, like I said, for 3 weeks being filmed. So I spent a lot of time up at the farm watching the trucks, seeing the traffic on 159th and Gower. I'm amazed. I saw numerous trucks turning around on Gower using my driveway. I saw Will County cops that were there to help the traffic coming into my property, stopping the traffic on Gower to turn the trucks around without giving them tickets, I might add. as far as the water with putting a well in there, I myself have 3 wells, 2 at the farm and 1 at my house. So they talk about the water, worrying about the water, I would be very impacted also. The school bus sign that is on Galva Road, I was responsible for talking to Frank Dunn to get that in when my son started 1st grade. He is now 29. This bus stop has been an issue all along. They don't want the noise and the pollution. I'm sorry, 355 is a constant 24/7 noise pollution. And anybody that sits outside, you hear it. And I'm, like I said, 1,000 feet from the tollway. Another thing, I know they mentioned, when Mr. O'Mara mentioned, I believe, that when we talked to this board, when I annexed in 4 years ago. And if I remember correctly, none of you were on the board at that time. That was done with the mayor and the board at that time, when I annexed in this property. I want to make that clear too. And when I did annex in, I also put in there I had 5 years to either get sewer and water, or I could also de-annex. The tollway came through, it changed everything. 159th Street, the traffic on that road is incredible. As I mentioned, my son lives on the farm. He still farms. Scares the living daylights out of me when he takes a tractor on Galva Road, because he also does property elsewhere. We follow him. The cars don't follow the speed limit. The trucks are just bad also, but the cars are just as bad. It's a suggestion. I have had numerous phone calls from my realtor for this property for an industrial park. 44 acres is a nice piece of property for an industrial park. We've told them no every time. I want to leave a legacy to my family name, to my ancestors. This might not be perfect, but under the circumstances, it's a start to the beginning of your commercial corridor down 159th Street. To get anything on 159th Street, we need sewer and water. And I have had numerous calls, numerous people that approached me. I had a hotel that was interested, but I didn't have sewer and water. Now I know George has got the sewer and water, I believe, in the works coming. So, I mean, it's in the works. But it's a shame with 159th Street being so tore up right now, and everything going on, that this can't be shovel ready when the time comes, when I get somebody that comes and wants to build on this property. It's the money that will go to Homer Glen and to the residents. And I might add also, I am in Homer Glen, I've annexed. A lot of these other people are still unincorporated. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next would be Matt and Ellen Rowe.
My name's Matt Rowe. I live at 15937 West Shady Lane. I just want to say I have no problem with the gas station as long as they take out the truck fuel. Thank you.
Next would be Kathy and Ron Warren.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lauren. I live at 15919 West Shady Lane, and I'm not opposed at all to the gas station, but I am to the trucks in there. And I also want to say to the owner, you know, he says that he doesn't think that there wouldn't be enough business, but I really disagree with that. There's a lot of people that love to stop at Dunkin' Donuts to get their car filled up. Don't have to go into Lockport to go and get their gas. I really think that he'll do a huge business there. That's it.
Thank you, Kathy. Last would be Patricia Mitchell.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. Patricia Mitchell, I own the property at 16022 West 159th Street. It's the land that's to the west of where the project is proposed. I am for the project with concerns. They did a really good job of building a case of dismissing my concerns of water runoff, but I'm still very concerned. As I've said before, my problem is not caused by Kathy's broken field tiles. The engineer talks about the water runoff, saying that the rain runoff will be mitigated. Okay, maybe that will, the rain runoff. But I'm very concerned of 5 acres, 3 acres, whatever, of blacktop, and I'm very concerned about a car wash being put in there with, as they said, 250,000 gallons of water per month going through it. And then that ultimately will be going across my property, which is being washed away. Granted, it is partly through IDOT and partly the Army Corps of Engineers. Apparently, it has not been addressed, but I'm concerned about adding more water there. They talked about, in the very beginning, we asked, what are you going to do? And they said, we never asked for sewer and water. The engineer asked that. We never asked for, well and septic. The next meeting, then they admitted that, well, maybe we'll have a well and septic if we don't get sewer and water. If a septic system is put in, it's going to seep into the ground, and that water is going to travel downhill. I'm downhill from that. I've already got a lot of water, but a lot more water because of all the building in the area. So what is going to happen is the water from the car wash would go into the ground and then ultimately go across my property. Their lawyer mentioned a temporary well for the convenience store only, not for the car wash. And I say, good, that's great. But please be clear and complete on what's happening here. Be clear that there will be no car wash open until the sewer system is in, because that would be very detrimental to my property. And I think you owe it to the people who already live there to protect our properties and our concerns. The detention pond that they spoke of discharges across my property. My property has the ditches have gotten very wide and very deep. And again, I am just very concerned. So regarding financing, everything can be negotiated. Okay, and it's a card, scare tactics of we're going to give up and walk away. That's part of doing business. Everything can be negotiated. That's part of doing business. Don't be scared. If there weren't millions of dollars at stake here, millions of dollars of profit, they wouldn't even be interested in doing this project. So be willing to negotiate. Don't give up. Don't be scared. Thank you.
That ends it for public comments.
Yes, just someone referenced the Shorewood development, and I think there's one important distinction between the process in Shorewood and the process in Homer Glen. I think it's an important one. In Shorewood, they had almost 1,000 signatures of residents opposed to the project, even after removal of the diesel islands. They opposed the gas station completely. They had their boardroom out the door opposing the project completely. In Homer Glen, what we're hearing tonight, even from the nearest neighbors, are open arms to this project, open arms to a gas station. We want development in Homer Glen, and we want to work with certainly Mr. McHenry and developers on these projects. And I think that's an important distinction between the Shorewood project that a gentleman referenced, where they were opposed to the project, residents were opposed to the project completely, even once the diesel islands were removed. And I think that contrast here tonight is an important one for Homer Glen.
And not only that, that the residents, and I'll only speak for myself, fully support the special use as it was presented, and that was for a gas station, a mini mart, a car wash, a drive-through, the packaged liquor. The outside sales and storage I was initially against, but after meeting with with the owner, I empathize with his plight, so I get that. And the hours of operation, that's what I'm hearing. And that's why I'm thankful that we also delayed this for 2 weeks. I appreciate that because you're able to get more feedback. And my understanding is, I'll speak only for myself, I have no problem with the way that it was initially presented. I like the layout of the design. I was looking for some less parking on site, but again,
After speaking with him, I understood his plight and the amount of employees that were going to be there. And so I echo what Brian is saying. I think it's a great development for the community as it was applied for.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I didn't sign up.
3 minutes.
Thank you. There's a lack of landscaping here, especially on the buffer area on the east side to protect the blue property or the future development. I'm trying to understand why serving trucks is so important. You know, the 1%, I mean, he's really brought it in a realistic fashion. 1%, that's all it is. And yet he wants more. He wants the trucks. The goals will be met. I mean, as it is, if there's trucking and parking for trucking and all the other things, the state would agree to grant him video gaming. And so what does that do for the other gas stations? So they want to, if they're able to comply. I'm questioning why so many parking spaces, over 60? Is this to alter the plan in the future to provide overnight parking for trucks, if you would get trucks? You know, we have a lot of noise. It reaches Mallard Lakes, where I live, and it's constant. People closer get more of it. Trucks can park overnight. They can run their engines, blow their air horns. The traffic plan for the property is not adequate to route the trucks within the property, and I'm concerned about the setbacks. If you look at the red line there, it's right in the setback. Nothing should be in the setback. And there's no protection, no against the negative effects for the blue property or future development. What the blue family needs to have is something that's positive so that it will attract and complement the development of Homer Glen. Mallard Lakes around the corner on 151st Street is now against the gas station, only the servicing of trucks. Not sure about the lighting because on May 23rd, they still have the demo lighting there. I hope that's corrected on the plan before any vote is taking place. That has to be checked. What is the coral color area temperature? Is there still dimmable? Is this a 24-hour station? Well, then there should be less light at night. Less light to protect the people that are around there. Light travels, it doesn't stop on the perimeter of the station. The trucks are running between 143rd and 167th. The Mockford's been approached for more than 200 acres of development of warehouses. So you know what that's going to bring. Homer Glen has been a community that's taken care of its people. We, like other towns, do not want what this project is bringing trucks. Money driving through Homer Glen sounds nice, and it will be increasing as the time goes by, but it does not make up for the loss of property values and the disrupting of a neighborhood. That's what trucks bring, all these negative activities. I urge you not to vote for the truck part. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments?
I just have one comment, sorry.
Yes, sir. I have just one thing I'd like to say or suggest. Seeing as the engineer is here, I don't have a pointer. But I drove a dump truck with a with a trailer and stuff behind. I had a hard time. I'm talking trucks from in the 60s when I was driving. But anyway, coming down here, that seems to be a short, tight radius. Here, making a double, the trailer half the time was halfway up this area. This road here should be all like another lane right here, full length, if you're going to leave it that way. In other words, you know, you guys are in charge of drawing it, so that would be one of my ideas is you can't, with a trailer, make a double right turn.
Shorewood development. Because I'm an optimist, and I sincerely hope that Mr. McGettery can make the numbers work, assuming that this motion passes. And because I really want this project to work for this village and to be a win-win. And so I hope that the numbers work and he's able to reconsider your position tonight. But because of that, wanting to be an optimist, there are some minor, when I say minor, very minor aesthetic comparisons to this project and the Shorewood project that I would like to be considered and potentially work together should this go forward. And because of that, I would further amend my motion to be contingent on board approval of potential elevation design alterations. And so I'm talking very minor things, colors, sort of things, you know what I mean? So I would just move to further amend my motion.
I would agree with that. I would second that because that is something that I also asked to see tonight was samples of the materials that was going to be used, and I'd like to see that. So I would second that.
I should say, Madam Clerk, call roll.
Can you verify that we are doing Brian?
Second motion on the floor.
That's amended.
Yeah.
1/3. Yeah. Seconded by Beth. Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Cabria?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. As for what Brian had said, the ball's in your court. We want you here, but certain things don't fit. If you want to go out and have a study done for that parking lot, because that's the biggest issue, to see if it would work. Because looking at the pictures and the drawings, it doesn't. None of it works.
Attorney Hanson, I need to verify when to vote. You need to vote for it and hopefully you can.
But I think that there were two motions, I'm sorry, there was a combination of two, so yes. So if you want to roll call again, first was for ordinance 17-039, that passed 6-0. So if you want to call the roll for 17-040.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Cabria?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
All right, that motion carries.
Mayor, I just want to make sure everyone's clear for the audience. I think we just unanimously approved a great project for this town. And so, with the one caveat of the diesel islands, but we approved what I hope to be a great project for this town. I think we all share that.
Agree.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-041, ordinance adapting the required prevailing wage standards in the village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois?
So moved.
Trustee Suisse?
I'll second.
Trustee Turvey, discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Cabria?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, ordinance number 17042, amending chapter 83 through 46 of the village code. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-042, an ordinance amending chapter 83-46 of the village code licensing and regulating video gaming within the village of Homer Glen to add a license requirement of a minimum space of 1,500 square foot? So moved. Trustee Gabriel.
Second.
Trustee Suisse. Discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Trustee Cabria?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-043, an ordinance amending chapter 8366 of the village code providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the
establish the minimum space size requirement for Class A, B, F, H, and K licenses at 1,200 square feet.
So moved.
Trustee Jorge? Trustee Gabriel? Discussion?
I just think it's important that maybe Jeannie, you can explain what we're doing here as discussed in with these two ordinances.
Why would we need more?
Right. Well, the first item on gaming was really to plug a hole. There's always been the policy that an establishment that meets the definition of a restaurant should also have 1,500 square feet minimum size in order to get gaming. And that expression of the minimum square foot size was actually in the liquor control ordinance, not in the gaming ordinance itself. That works until you deal with a restaurant, an establishment that meets the definition of a restaurant that goes for a Class F beer and wine license. And if they don't have that 1,500 square feet and they get the liquor license, it makes them eligible for the gaming license. So by putting the minimum 1,500 square feet right in the gaming ordinance, it makes it very clear that's part of the threshold that a business has to attain. So that's the first ordinance. The second one here is once that is now done, you plug that hole in the gaming ordinance, take a look at the liquor control ordinance, because now you have smaller restaurants that actually meet that restaurant definition, and they don't care to have the gaming license at all, but they would like to offer their customers the amenity of alcoholic beverage service. And the A&F committee took a look at this and felt that lowering the threshold to 1,200 square feet would be appropriate, but then go ahead and apply it to all of the establishments, the different liquor license classifications that would be appropriate to the establishment is in a permanent business location. So some of the liquor classifications, such as packaged liquor, sales, special events, promotional events, catering, that doesn't apply. You don't need to have that 1,200 square foot minimum apply to them. However, these classifications that are called out, restaurant with service bar, that's Class A. Class B is restaurant with bar. Class F, beer and wine retail sale. Clubs, recreational facilities, those all would be in more permanent type business locations, and that's where this 1,200 square foot minimum should apply.
I have a couple of questions. The first one is, could a restaurant with a full service bar really fit in 1,200 square feet and do enough business to, I mean, this is getting really small, I think. I can see maybe for beer and wine they can sell its fully, but the other end of the spectrum, being a full service bar with a full kitchen in order to hit all of those caveats.
Well, we have an example of a business that's recently opened in 1,200 square feet, and it's the New Mexican restaurant Frontera Store. And, they would like to be eligible to apply for a liquor license where they could serve margaritas, so they would need more than beer and wine. And obviously that kind of drink goes with that kind of food. They would like to have that opportunity. So there's an example of where they're in, they're open, they're working, the space works, and they think they can pull that off and they can make all the requirements work. So that's just an example.
And that would be a Class B license, or a Class A license, not a bar.
Right.
Where they serve. Which is up there, they would be able to do it. A Class B, there's no way to fit in there, and be able to make food, and people would be able to eat. So, that's why they included all of it, so this way there's one that would fit. And the A and B are the only ones that are full liquor. So, an A would fit them, a B wouldn't, for a 1,200 square foot.
My other question is on the 1,500 square feet on the gaming and the way that dovetails with the liquor. Does that make anybody non-conforming?
No. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cabrio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet? Aye. Trustee Durian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Motion carries. Number 6, is there a motion to direct the mayor to send a letter to the Illinois Department of Transportation concurring with the department's recommendation to award a contract to the apparent lowest responsible bidder, Austin Tire Construction, Inc., for the construction of Goodings Grove Extension to the Village of Homer Glen Zero Trail in the amount of $106,450.15.
So moved.
Trustee Berry?
Second.
Trustee Gray? Trustee Gray. Okay, discussion.
What's the timeline on this trail? Start to end?
As soon as these items are approved, it goes back to IDOT for their approval. IDOT will schedule a pre-construction meeting, and shortly thereafter, construction will start. We're anticipating that it'll be started and finished hopefully this year.
Like this year, meaning
By the end of
December?
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Durian?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Motion carries. Number 7, is there a motion to approve resolution number 17-005, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois and the village of Mount Glen appropriating funds for the Goodings Grove Bike Trail Improvement Project? So moved. Trustee Caprio?
Second.
Trustee Durian, discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Durian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, is there a motion to approve the IDOT local agency agreement for federal participation for the construction of the Goodings Grove extension to the village of Homer Glen Heroes Trail? It is understood that the $29,400 local agency funds identified in the federal participation agreement has been included in the proposal for fiscal year 2017-18 budget in the Park and Recreation Fund.
So moved.
Trustee Rogers?
I'll second.
Trustee Sweet, discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Durian?
Aye. Motion carries. Number 9, is there a motion to approve the engineering agreement from HR Green for construction engineering services related to the construction of Goodings Grove extension to the village of Homer Glen Heroes Trail in the amount of $24,340.85. It is understood that the division of costs for the construction of the bike trail through the Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, grant is 80%, CMAQ funds and 20% local match for those Homer Glen funds. Therefore, the village's portion of the construction engineering cost is $4,868.17. The cost is included in the proposed fiscal year 2017-18 budget and Park and Recreation Fund. So moved. Trustee Caprio? Second. Trustee Gray, discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet? Trustee Durian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Gabriel? Trustee Turkey, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion